Hi guys, welcome to this beautiful Google Hangout. I am joined with a very good friend of mine. We used to host a radio show together, and Erica Alfonso is here today. Say hello.
Hi, everybody.
So Erica and I have known each other for years and years and years. Interesting to have her on this week because of the subject matter is something that I felt like she knew a lot about and she could really lend a lot of help with. So one of the most common questions that I get from you guys is how to get over your ex, how to get over your ex, how to let go. And so I wanted to do a show about this subject because this is something that is like so important. And also another thing that might help you guys this week is that a full moon on December 3rd. And because it's in Gemini, there's something about it that's kind of more mystical, and it's going to be shining a light on a lot of stuff. So you might feel like secrets are coming out of the closet, or things are coming, like becoming like what's the word I'm looking for? Things are coming to the surface. It's basically the full moon is shining a light on everything. So you may find out stuff about your ex that you finally going to help you get over them. You may find out what the root of the issue is. It's finally like that is going to help you cut the cord. So this full moon is really powerful, and it can be used to kind of aid us in this whole topic. So I guess what I want to say to you guys first and foremost is when it comes to letting go of an ex, a lot of times I hear, and Erica, you can probably vouch for this one because you probably hear it all the time as well, is people say, well, they just won't leave me alone. They just won't leave me alone. Like I try to break up with them, but they just won't stop. Now, I'm not talking about like a scary stalker situation.
Sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jen. Go ahead.
I'm not talking about that where like you find restraining orders and you've done like all this stuff to get them to leave you alone and they just won't leave you alone. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is you and they wear you down. They'll, baby, I miss you, baby, forgive me, baby, come on, give me another chance, come on, baby, it's Christmas, come on, baby. And they finally wear you down. And you tell me, I mean, I hear this all the time, is like, well, they just won't leave me alone. It's because they're getting what they want. They're wearing you down and they're getting what they want. And the reason why they're wearing you down and they're getting what they want from you, and the reason why they keep coming back is because you are not really ready to let go of them. So I think that the beginning of letting go of your ex or getting over your ex is to really be honest with yourself and ask yourself, are you really ready to let this person go? Because a lot of people will say outwardly, like, oh yeah, I hate him, he's a jerk, blah, blah, blah. But secretly they're like, oh, I love you so much, I hope you come back to me. And so there's this inner turmoil that they're dealing with. And so it can be really confusing sometimes emotionally in your own mind because you'll feel conflicted. You know he's a jerk, but you still care about him. There's a part of you that, you know, really wants to be together, even though you know you shouldn't. And so when you're in that kind of wishy-washy place, it's easy to penetrate and come back in to your life because you want it so bad. So the first thing to do is to really let go, and to begin the process you have to really acknowledge if you're really willing to let go. And if you're not willing to let go, then you need to do some work, and we'll talk about that going forward. But really that's the first step, is really acknowledging. Erica, I need a sip of swizzle tizzle, so I don't know if there's anything you want to say about this subject.
Yeah, definitely. I would suggest, and I'm sure we'll touch base with this a little bit more later, Jen, you'll probably agree with me. I think if you're having trouble figuring out whether or not you really can't let go of this person for certain reasons, like say you're lonely, or or everyone else has a partner and you feel like you should have one, whatever it is, I would suggest writing a pros and cons list. Because a lot of the times people who are not worth your time, they have way more cons than they do pros. And also, can you really see a future with this person? Like, can you trust this person if you got married to them? Would you trust them with your kids? Would you picture yourself being a single parent because this person walks off? And so that's what I would suggest. Like, that would be one of the ways I would suggest trying to get over this person, would be listing all the good stuff and the bad stuff about them, because clearly they have some good stuff, and that's why you always go, maybe it's not so bad, because you're attracted to maybe their looks or maybe what they can give you, whether it's, it's sex or it's, so you have to figure out, is it really, healthy, or is it unhealthy attachment you have to this person? And
That's a
that's what I
really
would
good
say.
point. And I think that you made a good point about, and this is what I hear a lot, is that people hang on to somebody for years, like years, 8 years, 10 years, 20 years, because they don't want to be alone. They're so afraid of being alone that they will stay in a relationship with somebody that they want to beat to death 90% of the time, just because the idea of being single is so terrifying. And the thing about being single is, honestly, once you embrace it, it's like the greatest thing ever, because you don't have to deal with anybody else's crap. You just do what you want. You're like a free agent. Not to say that you never want to get into a relationship again, but embracing the idea of being single and just really enjoying that life, it helps you grow as a person. It helps you figure out what you want. But that's like the biggest stumbling block, is the fear of being alone, the fear of the unknown, the fear. But what I try to do is, when I have somebody having this struggle where they know the relationship is bad, and they just know that they're in a rut, they know they're not happy, they know the person's a jerk, it's a toxic situation, but the fear of the unknown is so great. What I try to encourage them to do, is to look at, the contrast of, yeah, this is what life is like with this person, but this is what it could be like without the person. And not focusing on, oh, you're going to meet another guy next week, but this is your life without them. You'll have peace of mind, you'll have stability, you'll be able to focus on your career, you'll be able to focus on your schooling, you'll be able to focus on your friends and your family, you'll be able to focus on your own personal, like, health journey and hobbies and things that you like, and just kind of teaching them about how peaceful and enjoyable their life can be without this person that they feel like they need. So that you want to let go of the person, then you have to get through the excuses. The first excuse is, I don't want to be alone. Once you kind of can embrace the idea of being alone, then it's like half the battle. It's so important. The next excuse that I always hear from people is that they're so afraid that if they let this person go, then they're going to go find somebody else. And they're going to be like, everything that they weren't for this person, they're going to be to that other person. So, like, this jerk off that you're dating, who is a loser, who's not taking care of you, who's, being immature and irresponsible and self-centered and abusive, all of a sudden is going to meet some other girl and just become Prince Charming. And that's
Not
just
going to
not,
happen.
no, it's not realistic at all. But
Yeah.
people have this fear, and they feel like, and I think what it is you invest so much attention and so much energy into building this relationship that you feel so invested that it's hard for you to walk away, because you feel like somebody else is going to get like everything that you invested, but you just wasted your time. That all they're going to get is the same jerk that you got.
Agreed.
So I don't know if you have anything to say on this
Agreed.
subject.
I would say, like, I always say to people, like, if a guy was a cheater, for example, right, and that's a big thing typically for women or for anyone in a relationship, you don't want to
Yeah.
be cheated on. I always say to them, like, if they have a history of cheating, most likely they'll probably will continue to cheat. So, like, all the other girls getting is the same thing you're getting: the stress of worrying about where this person is, if they're telling the truth. So they're really not getting anything special. But also, if someone was to change with someone else, that person wasn't meant for you anyways. And in the 3 years you wasted on that person, if you stayed with them, you just waste another 3 years with the same crap. It wouldn't change. It wouldn't get better for you, because it's also the dynamics of you as well. What you accept, people continue to give you. And that's, what I would say about that.
That's really a good point. I totally agree with you. 90% of the time, the person isn't going to change. But if they do have some kind of change and epiphany and they become a better person, it's because they needed to be with that other person to bring it out in them, that was a meant to be situation, and that you're not the person for them, and that you need to find the person that's right for you. And so many people just settle because they just want to be in a relationship and they're afraid.
Right.
So, knowing whether or not you want
Right.
to have a relationship, knowing whether or not you really are ready to leave the relationship, and being honest with yourself, getting over the stumbling block of being afraid of being single and being afraid of being alone, and embracing the fact that being alone can actually be a good thing. Because also, once you're alone and you're centered and you kind of rebuild yourself, your energy, the energy that you're going to vibrate is going to be on a much higher level. So the people that you're going to attract once you get yourself healed is going to be such a higher quality. While you're
Right.
in this negative relationship and you're in this negative energy, you're just going to attract more losers. And I
Right.
hear that a lot from people, is like, oh, well, every guy I attract is the same, they're all losers. So it's because you're not letting go
Right.
of
Well, and they don't give
the
enough time in
person.
between relationships either. Not to interrupt you, Jen, but another, like what you're saying is, it goes along with being alone and being comfortable being alone. Is you attract the bad parts to yourself when you're in bad relationships for whatever reason. It doesn't mean there's something severely wrong with you. It just means, it's like, for example, for people who have daddy issues, you're always going to be drawn to the guy who's almost like just like your dad.
Mm.
But if you get therapy and you're alone for a while and you realize that, okay, that's a hang up from before. It bothered me before. It was when I was little. I don't have to take that with me as a woman, and be able to embrace yourself, love yourself 100% alone. And I hate to use the word alone because it sounds so bad, but like I've been alone for a really long time and I don't regret anything about it. Like I love not having to answer to somebody who wasn't good to me. When
Mhm.
I'm ready to be with somebody, it won't be that way anymore. Like, because I know what my standards are now. Because I think when you start with low standards and you don't know anything else, that's all you ever get. So all these women that say, "Oh, I'm attracting all these losers," you probably are, honey, but that doesn't mean that you're a loser magnet. It feels like that because you haven't changed. She can change that in herself. She can figure out what I'm doing wrong to attract all these people. How do I heal myself? There has to be some kind of damage inside, because everyone has it. Everyone, I don't care who you are, has had some kind of baggage or hang up or whatever that causes you to bring baggage to relationships. And that's what usually people choose losers for, because they don't know how to choose good people, because they don't feel good about themselves. And that's what being alone is so important. You figure out how to love yourself without a distractions from someone else, because a relationship is very distracting and time consuming, good or bad, it is. And so if you're constantly being in bad relationships, sometimes it's good to take a break. You are too, because when you realize how good you are, you raise your standards too. And like you said, you draw better energy, you draw better men or women, just because you're doing that for yourself, because people are
Yeah.
drawn to what you are. If you love yourself and you put yourself at a high standard, you're going to have men who respect you at that, or women that respect you at that level. So therefore, you get what you deserve. So if you feel bad about yourself all the
Exactly.
time, that's what you attract. That's what you bring into the thing. And the other thing, and I'm sure you're going to bring this up, what bothers me is when people stay in relationships because of the kids. I have
Oh yeah.
children, and I'll tell you right now, don't use that as an excuse. Kids are more damaged by bad relationships than they are for two people to separate and be healthy than anything else. And I know you could probably elaborate more on that too, Jen, because I'm sure you
Yes.
talk to people all the time.
Yeah. Well, you brought up a really good subject that I was thinking of. We are such a good team. Like seriously,
Yes,
we're
girl. Yes.
we're definitely a good team. But when you're in a negative relationship and you jump to another relationship, you're bringing all that baggage with you, and that baggage is damaging you inside. And so I see this all the time, where girls are in relationships with guys that are nice, really nice people, or guys that are in relationships with girls that are really nice people. But because they're so damaged from their ex, they haven't healed, they haven't given themselves a chance to recover, that they bring all that baggage. So they bring all that insecurity and that defensiveness. It's really important to kind of give yourself that time to heal, so that you can be clean and pure. When you pure, I don't know if pure is the right word, but you go to the next relationship, so you don't have all that baggage. And a lot of times, I was just going to say something and I lost my train of thought. But yeah, a lot of times people tend to jump from one thing to the other, and they don't give themselves time to breathe. But
Right.
I agree with you also with the kids. A lot of people, and I hear that's another, all these excuses of, oh, I can't leave because we have kids together. I agree with you. Kids are smart. Kids are perceptive. You may
Right.
think that you're keeping something from your kids, or your kids don't know what's going on, but they do. Kids pick up, they don't only pick up on words, but they pick up on energy. If you and your husband or wife are in the room and you're not getting along with each other, there's a tension. You could cut it with a knife, and your kid knows that, they acknowledge that, and
Yeah.
you're not going to be as good of a parent to that
Agreed.
child. You're not going to have the energy at the end of the day to like help with homework and be excited about life and plan fun things to do on the weekends if you're feeling stifled and your heart is ripped out and you're feeling overwhelmed, um,
Right.
because of that. And a lot of times parents, they don't mean to do it, but they tend to pull kids into the relationships. The kids either feel like they need to defend one parent over another, or they need to feel like they need
Correct.
to break up the fight. And that's just not good for a kid to deal with. So you may think that you're doing, child, but it's more healthy for your child to understand that sometimes relationships don't work, and it's okay that
Right.
they don't work. The world isn't perfect, relationships aren't perfect, but that you
Right.
can part as friends rather than being bitter and angry and tearing each other apart because you feel like you need to stay together for the kids. It's really important to think these things. And there's one other thing that I wanted to talk about. So we talked about the reason why people stay in relationships. They aren't really ready to leave the relationship. They're not honest with themselves. They're afraid of being alone. They're afraid that if they leave the person, they're going to go off and be magical and be better to the other person. So they don't want anybody else getting their man. So there's that delusion. And then there's another one, staying together for the kids. I want to talk about two other reasons. The second one, the last one, is financial. I hear this so much. I
Oh yeah.
cannot leave because I'm not financially stable. Listen,
It's
we
a
all,
crappy excuse.
it is, because the
It
truth
is.
of the matter is, there are certain, I'm not going to say that this is the case, like, where I'm going to say in every circumstance. I'm sure that there is certain circumstances where somebody is legitimately in a situation, like, say, if you have absolutely no family or no friends, if you're, like,
Right.
say, living in a foreign country that you just moved there and you have nobody to go to, and there, it's a country where there's no, like, services for women to help. I'm not, like, there's extreme situations. So if you're in that extreme situation, then obviously there's an excuse for you. But if you're a woman who lives in America, who has friends and family, even if you don't get along with your friends and family, if you have friends and family and you live in America, to get out of this relationship. And
Right.
what the advice that I give is, your kid may have to sleep on the couch for a little while. They'll survive. You may have to sleep on a couch for a little while. You'll survive. You may have to
You
live with
do.
your annoying parents for a little while. You'll survive. Because whatever you have to endure is not going to be as bad as that relationship. And the fear of the unknown is what's keeping you stuck. It's not so much that it's going to be that bad, it's just the fear. But another thing that I would say is, if you are in the situation where you feel like you're not financially stable, you're not financially secure, and you don't want to leave unless you have like a certain financial, say you're getting through school and you only have like 6 months of school left. This is for that kind of a situation. You're getting through school, you only have 6 months of school left. And then after school, you're going to be able to have a really good job. So you just have to make it through the next 6 months. Get yourself a separate bank account. This is so important. Get yourself a separate bank account that is not connected in any way, shape, or form to him or her. Save your money. Save your money as much as you possibly can throughout that 6 months. $5, $10, whatever you can, put it in that bank account so that when you're ready, you'll have a little nest egg and you'll have something to go to.
Right.
Get into the mentality while you're still living in that home to be like a roommate. If you try to have a romantic relationship while you're planning your exit strategy, you're just setting yourself up for a minefield of mixture of emotions. If you're going to do this plan, you need to be like a warrior and you need to kind of get it together and do it in a the best way that you're going to be able to keep your sanity. So live like a roommate. If this person is a cheater and they're cheating all over town, let them cheat all over town. See them as a roommate. See them as a roommate, get along with them the best way that you can, and just focus on your end goal, which is graduating, saving money, and also get people in your life, a girlfriend, a sister, a mom, anybody that you can, to help you to have a place to stay, to help you maybe give you some money, to help you find a place to rent on the sneak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you
I
can
would
plan
also
your.
suggest, not to interrupt you, Jen, but I would also suggest like while you're in that situation, and this is for everybody that's going through a breakup and they want to leave and they don't know how to leave or whatever, is get counseling while you're doing this, because the counseling will help establish those lines that you have trouble drawing whenever that person comes back and says, hey baby, I'm so sorry, I've been the way I've been behaving. That kind of that pattern of behavior gets stuck in because you want to believe that person will change. But if you get counseling, because this person obviously is not that interested in you because they're making mistakes and that's why you want to leave, so you have plenty of time to get counseling. And counseling you can get in really inexpensively if you look to your community. A lot of community places have community centers that provide for $20 an hour, which is really inexpensive for a psychiatrist or a psychologist or even a licensed counselor to sit with and help you work through your exit strategy, almost like life coaching, a little bit of everything, so that you can stay focused. Because it's so easy for everyone, and it's been my experience too, without the counseling, you get caught back up in the same pattern of behavior, which is why people don't leave, and they stay so much longer. So I would suggest, if possible, find out your best way to get counseling. And sometimes they offer free counseling. Some places offer the first few sessions free, and then after that, based on a scale of what you make, you pay. And while you're getting that counseling, like I said, it builds up your confidence, your self-esteem, and allows you to leave without you feeling any regret or having to turn back. Because I think that's why a lot of people keep going back and forth, is they're not healthy, like we were saying earlier. And counseling as early as you can might help the difference between you staying 6 months more or even years more and leaving when you said you were going to leave in your mind, setting that goal and leaving.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Erica. I agree with you. A lot of times people end up in these bad relationships because they don't know who they are. They don't know what they want. They just, a lot of times people will go out with people just because they asked them out. I talked to so many women who were like, you know what? I didn't even like him. And he just kept asking me out. And eventually I went out with him, and here we are. We've been together for 3 years, and I'm not happy. It's because you didn't really know who you were. You didn't really know what you wanted. And so having that counseling in this pinnacle point in your life can really help make the difference between a smoother transition, feeling more confident. I think that that's a really great point that you made. And, just, I want to go over with you guys the cycle of abuse, because, we're talking all about like how to let go of your ex and blah, blah, blah. And some of this is about like getting out of a relationship that you're currently in. It's still the same thing. A lot of times there's a gray line with relationships. You don't know if a person's your ex or if they're your current person. There's like a muddy, murky line between that. But it's just getting over a relationship that you need to let go of. And so there's abusive relationships. There's a cycle of abuse, and that's where the person meets you and it's a honeymoon phase and everything is beautiful and amazing. And then all of a sudden you'll go into this time where there's tension, and you feel the tension mounting, and you just feel like at any moment there's going to be an explosion because the tension mounts. There's going to be like criticism and negativity, and then all of a sudden there's that pop, there's that abusive moment, and it explodes, and then the honeymoon phase starts over again. So this cycle is hard, and people who don't realize what's going on, they kind of live for that honeymoon, and they feel like that honeymoon is who the person they're with really is, but that's not who they are. That's just the person they become to win you back. Correct. And it becomes this obsessive cycle, and you're trying to like ride the waves and suffer through the hard times to get the good times, but no relationship should be like that. It's just not a good way to be at all. So it's definitely important to think about that. And there is a lot of help that you can get if you are in an abusive relationship. There's definitely.
Well, I experienced it myself. I mean, I have I've been to shelters. I have done survivor counseling. I have done counseling specifically for breaking the cycle of abuse. I've been through that myself, and there are so many resources out there. And particularly in my town where I live, they actually have 2 different programs. And both of them provide money to move you. They provide money to help buy you food or clothes if you need it. They provide not only just shelters, but actually safe houses that are a little bit different than shelters. They're almost like a home you go to and you stay with someone, with your children or yourself. And it helps you get on your feet. They help you find new jobs and stuff. And every community is different. Every community is different, but there are so many resources out there. So if you ever feel like you're not sure if you're experiencing abuse, or you know you are, and you don't know how to get out of it, the best thing to do is to look up those programs, and they're anonymous. You can call and you know, talk to someone anonymously, tell them what's going on, and they can tell you how they can help you and direct you to the right people. And again, all this stuff is safeguarded. You know, like where you go and meet these people, it's in a place that the abuser will never find out where you go. And also when they call for private numbers, and they act like there's someone else that they have to safeguard you from having that abuser find out what's going on. So if you're ever afraid to attempt to do these things, I'm telling you from my own experience that they do make these experiences as safe as they can for the women, or you know, or even the men that are trying to get out of bad relationships and get you to a better place, so you're not afraid to leave. But they do it all in a safe way because they know how abusers work. So if you're ever concerned about that, I'm telling you, they're look into your communities and, you know, find out what's out there for you and try it. And again, they don't press you to do anything you don't want to do. If you start a process and you're too scared and you back out, they're always there when you're ready to do it again. So like I said, just get the information, if anything, to find out what you need. But I've done it myself, and it's definitely beneficial. And there's, like I said, so many more programs out there today than there were years ago. And they offer so much.
Thank you for sharing that, Erica. If this question is too personal and you don't want to answer it, that's okay. But I wanted to ask you, because a lot of times, like, you know that you should leave a relationship, like you know that you need to let go of a person, because it's not
Right.
always about being in a relationship. Sometimes it's like you broke up with this person 5 years ago and they're already in another relationship, and you're already in another relationship, but you're still holding on to this person. There's still like a
Right.
hope, like that they're going to come back, or like
Right.
you go through like, why did they leave? Why didn't it work out? Why wasn't I good enough? Blah, blah. And it's like this cycle that you kind of continue to go through over and over again. And sometimes it's really hard because you want to find closure, but the other person isn't willing to talk to you, isn't willing to find that closure. But as far as like, so I'm going to talk to that about that in a few seconds. But I just wanted to ask you, like, as far as like taking action and leaving, what was like the turning point, if you feel comfortable sharing, like the thing
Sure.
that made you go like, you know what, that's it, I'm out, it's over? Because I know there was a lot of back and forth with your situation, because
right,
we've been friends forever. So what was like the pinnacle moment, and maybe you could share that so that they can kind of.
Sure. Yeah, sure, of course, I'm here to help. So statistically, most women leave at least 8 times before they actually leave their partner. So you go back and forth a lot. And Jen knows, since she could attest to this. Her and my sister both have been. I've lived at their house twice with my kids, and 2 of the times that I left. And so I did leave a lot. And I think what the turning point for me was, honestly, the amount of counseling that I got. I could see that there was never going to be a change of behavior. Someone told me, and it's the truth, and I believe it hands down, and it's the truth. If your future with someone will always be your past. So if in the past they never respected you, mistreated you, whatever, and they're still currently doing this, unless they get some like major help, and usually those people don't, okay? And even then you don't know, because again, a lot of abusers are narcissistic people, manipulators, whatever. But majority of the time, your past is your future with them. So if I looked at the situation and I said to myself, he lies, he promises all the time, he never respects me as a person, but more like an object, you know, all those things, it never really changed. And he never participated in like counseling and stuff like that. It was always an excuse. And that's what made me realize, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, as much as I love this person, as much as I want to be in this relationship, because I got married and I wanted to stay married one time, I let go of all that stuff in counseling and realized that he was never going to change, and I need to get out, because he was more dangerous than he was ever beneficial to me or my children, to be honest. And you know what I experience every day anyways. So, I mean, so that's what it was. I just finally decided, like, what this counselor told me was the truth. You know, my past with him will be my future. And if we look at things now, they weren't wrong. You know, after everything, I've been divorced going on 4 years now. Well, actually, it'll be 5. It'll be 5 this coming up year. 5 years. And in 5 years, I haven't seen a change, even after being divorced from him. So it tells you something. And I'm telling you, ladies, if you ever doubt yourself about whether or not someone's going to change, do it. Just like you jumped into the relationship, you keep forgiving all the time. You can also forgive enough yourself to let go, just to see what would happen even when you're away. So especially in a situation where they're in one relationship and you're in another already, just remember what that person made you feel like. And that's another thing too. I used to sit there at night and I cried all the time. I cried all the time. You remember, I was miserable. I wasn't the same. Ever since I've been on my own, I'm so much happier, like so much happier. And I'm a goofball. Jen will tell you I'm a hot mess. And you see more sides of that personality than you ever have because I'm not with him anymore. So that was the turning point. I just knew that he didn't bring out the best in me ever. And I always was miserable. I was always making excuses of why he was so bad and never good enough. So,
And that's the thing is, I went through all the different reasons why people don't leave and why they end up, staying in a relationship or they don't let go of their ex. And the saddest one is that they have this hope. And it sounds very dramatic and drastic to say this, but this is something that I say to my clients all the time. And it's like that thing that I say that really kind of gets them to really like listen to me. And it's like, you have to find that little nugget of hope that you have for this relationship, that little crystal that's in your heart that believes in that this guy is going to be the one, or he's going to come back to you, or that if only this and this and this lined up, that this would be perfect. There's this little crystal that you have in your heart that's hopeful that this relationship can work. And the rest of your heart is like, nah, girl, you need to get. But this little crystal is there. And as long as your crystal is there, you're going to keep that hope alive. So you need to smash that crystal.
Correct. Correct. And I will say this, not to interrupt you again, but I have to say, this is one thing I will tell ladies. So many times, men who are toxic will never give you closure. The reason why they never give you closure is because they want the foot in the door. The foot in the door means...
That's true. They want to keep that going, because just like you're kind of getting something from them, there's some kind of emotional need you're getting from them, that honeymoon period that you live for, that when they're begging you and they're crying, and that or that hope that you're the one that's going to make them the better person, whatever that psychological like issue, or it's like a high. Whatever that high is for you, they have a high too. Maybe their high is winning you back. Maybe their high is breaking you down. But whatever it is, you each have a very dysfunctional high. And I just want to take a moment to say, Eric and I are women. We're saying, women, men a lot. And a lot of my clients are women. Here and say that women are not the only ones who are victims. There are tons of men.
No, men for sure.
That I talk to on a regular basis that have been victims of relationships. And I know that there's like a stereotype that a lot of women say, and I always correct them, that like, oh, all men are jerks, all men are pigs, all men suck. It's not the case.
So are women.
Great men in the world. I talk to them. They're really wonderful, genuine, loving, caring, sensitive guys that do get really their hearts ripped out. I want to be clear, like it's not just like a man hating thing here. That
well, and I will attest to too.
Yeah.
That in court, because I've been to court a lot with my ex, there was many men getting order protections against women for abuse, many of them. So even on that extreme end of a toxic relationship where there's actual abuse, there are women, just as many women who will hurt men, and also men on men, women on women that are aggressive. So it's not, it's an everybody thing. Anyone's capable of abusing someone. And I saw it myself, firsthand in court when people were going in front of judges and talking about their experiences and why they wanted to order protection against their ex, lover or whatever. I mean, I saw a lot of it. So, yeah, because it's true.
Yeah, I just didn't want this to be like all about women, because, a lot of men get hurt too. And it's hard, when you're not getting closure, when the person that you're kind of hanging out there, like a lot of times there's a thing in society right now that's going on, and it's happening all spans, all races, all ages, where somebody will be in a relationship with somebody and then all of a sudden they'll disappear. And they'll be like, I don't know, it was fine. Like we went out to dinner, we had spaghetti, it was great. He said he loved me, and then I never heard from him again. Like, what the hell happened? Or we had marshmallows, we watched a movie, and she went home and I never heard from her again. And it's because in that moment, the reason somebody ran away is 99% of the time it's either going to be two, well, I shouldn't say 99, it's 50-50. It's two things. It's either that they got scared. They got scared. The relationship was too real, too intense. It was overwhelming. They got scared that it wasn't going to work out. They got scared their family wouldn't approve. They got scared. They just got scared. Or the other thing is that they just weren't attracted, like they just lost interest. And it could be because another person came into their life. It could be because like they heard from an ex or they met somebody new. But it's usually one of those two reasons. Is either they got scared or they ran away. Sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. But when they don't, it's very hard to just let go. And what I would suggest is, if you can communicate with the person, even if you don't hear back from them, to tell them how you feel. Like, even if you just send them a text, like, you know what, I liked you, you were a jerk, that was wrong, that hurt my feelings, I hope you don't do that to somebody else, have a nice life. That is definitely like, you have to get it out. You can't keep all of that angst and that upset inside of you. Whether you're angry and frustrated and pissed off, or you're hurt and devastated, whatever those negative feelings are, you have to get them out. And what you have to do is, there's several different ways to do this. You can go somewhere and you could scream. You could punch a pillow. You could what my favorite method is to write a letter to that person, even if you don't
Yes.
send it, but just write a letter and say whatever you want in that letter. Just get it out of your body and write a letter. And
Yes.
I'm going to tell you a personal story about me and relationships. And I was in a relationship with somebody and it didn't work out, and I found out that he was cheating. I am a cool customer. I'm not the type of person who's going to yell and scream and stuff. But I found out he was cheating, and I was like, listen, I know you're cheating. You should probably just be with her, because she's on your level, and I'm obviously above your level. So you should just go with her. But I acted like it didn't bother me. It bothered me a lot. I was devastated by the whole situation. It bothered me a lot when it happened, and I felt like so hurt and devastated, because I thought that there was a better connection between me and this person. I thought that he cared about me. And so it was kind of like, it was really hard. And I found out that this was something that was not just like a one-time thing, but it had been going on for a while. So it was really hard and it was really hurtful. But the way that I am, I'm like a badass diva. And so I'm not going to in my mind, I'm not going to let the person know that I was hurt. I just acted like, hey, if you want to be with her, you should just be with her, go for it.
Right.
And he was kind of like shocked, like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, go for it. You should totally do it. I think you should do it. You guys would be cute together. You should totally do it. And I acted like it didn't bother me. And he was a little shocked that I did, because he thought I was going to scream and yell and throw things. But I acted like, whatever, it's fine, no big deal.
Right.
And I didn't want him to know that it hurt me. I didn't want him to know that I was affected by it. But I think that was a mistake. Now, I know a lot of people, and this is me, and this is one of my issues, is like, I didn't want him to have the satisfaction of knowing my feelings were hurt. But I think in retrospect, it would have been better for me to be like, you know what, that really hurt my feelings. You shouldn't have done that.
Right.
Cry or scream in front of him. But the problem is, in doing that, I never had my moment to like really have closure with him. I just had all this anger, like this pent up anger after the fact. Like
Right.
I played cool with him, but at home, like when I was taking the shower, I'd be like, in my own mind, I had all this anger and this frustration and this hurt feelings and these unanswered questions and whatever the case may be. And like, I didn't like have that out with him. I didn't have the closure. I didn't talk to him about it at any point ever to this day. And so I just think that was something that maybe I wish that I would have handled differently. So closure is really an important thing, even if you feel like you don't need it, even if you don't want the other person to feel like they have the satisfaction that you're upset about something. You have the right to feel whatever you're feeling, and you shouldn't deny yourself your feelings.
Yeah.
And even if you want to be a cool customer, you can still be a lady about it. You don't have to yell and scream and cry, but you should tell the person, like, I'm really hurt. I wish that would have, like, I wish you wouldn't have done that. However you want to say it. I think
Right.
closure is important. So if you have the opportunity to get closure, don't deny yourself the fact
Right.
of closure.
Right.
But if you can't get closure, if the person died, or if the person, is refusing to talk to you, you have to just kind of accept that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not getting your closure.
I think that's the biggest problem with most people. I think that some women go back a lot because they're waiting for like that last, thing for that person to say, so that it's over. But go ahead. Go ahead, Jen. What were you going to say?
Sorry. And the problem is they don't get closure and they get upset about that.
Right.
And so instead of just dealing with the emotions and healing themselves, it twists them and they get into this revenge thing. And that's a place you do not ever want to be, because I'm telling you guys right now, my little babies, mama, listen to mama. The things you put out there come back to you. So, like, I talk, don't get into revenge. Revenge is not worth it. As much as you may watch a movie where somebody's smashing windshields and, doing all that.
Putting bleach on their clothes.
And putting bleach on their clothes.
Setting clothes on fire. Yeah.
Setting clothes on fire. What was that What was that video with Rihanna where she was, like, destroying his house? Take a bow? Is that what it was?
I think it is.
Come on and take a bow. Yeah. So
I will say this about the closure thing, though. As far as getting, like you said, writing a letter, for those people who write letters and stuff like that, I always tell people too, and anyone can do this, is have what I call a burn party. So, like, say you were in a relationship for a long time, you guys can have a bonfire, right? You bring your girlfriend, guy friends, whatever it is, and you write a letter. And then you start, you throw that letter in, or maybe if you've been with them long enough, there's sweaters that they gave you, or there's stuff down, whatever it is. Get rid of the stuff and get rid of the emotion too. Like, curse them out in that little that bonfire party, just like, blank you, and I was better than that, and whatever you have to say, get it out, because that person may never give that to you, but your friends can give you the comfort, and you can also say to yourself, you know what, I'm over this now. I got rid of everything to remind me of that person. Block them on your phone. Don't block them off Facebook. Take them off Facebook. All those things, because that's where it lingers. Anything that will linger, get rid of it.
It's important to
find the closure yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, find closure yourself, because you might only have that choice, is to have closure yourself. That person may never give it to you, and you have to accept that. It has nothing to do with you, has something to do with them. Because honestly, a person who's good is going to leave the relationship in a mutual way. You know what I mean? And sometimes you have bad breakups, but that person recognizes that you had emotion. Like, for somebody who's been in a relationship for a long time, if you were dating someone who was decent, they're going to say, I'm sorry it didn't work out. You're a great person, whatever. A butthole is not going to do that, ever. No matter what you think, no matter how good looking you were, how great you were, it's not you, it's them. So you have to, like, be able to let it go on your own. So doing whatever, like, I even one time recommended someone taking, like, rice paper. I don't know if you guys have ever heard it before. You get rice paper and you write with edible ink on it how you feel, and just throw it in the ocean. If you're a beach person, it's awesome to do for a beach person. If you're not into fires, bonfires and all that good stuff, write it on a piece of paper that you can throw into the ocean that's edible, dissolve, don't hurt anything, and you're able to, like, let it go. Have a release party of your emotions, basically, to let it go, because that person will never give it to you, and just don't talk to them anymore. No matter what, if they come back, they can't call you because you blocked them, and unless they come out and make a big effort, you've already done what you had to do.
Yeah.
Because
it's true.
You know what I mean?
And this is really good advice, but the one thing that you got to remember is, you're not going to be able to really let go of this person until you acknowledge that you really are ready to let go of this person.
Agreed.
You can't half-ass it. You have to just really, really get down and say, I know that I'm going to let go of this person for good. Not just like the talk you say to your friends, like, oh, I'm not going to talk to him again, and then you're talking to him in secret. But you have to really let go of him.
Yeah, don't lie to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Or lie to your friends, or lie to anybody else.
Yeah.
But take that step going forward for yourself to really walk away from a situation to save yourself. And I think that another thing is, I'm going to go back to what you said earlier, is make a list of pros and cons. And this is something that I would say is you have to evaluate a relationship. And some of the best ways that I've found to evaluate your relationship is think about the person you're with. Okay, if you're a guy, think about your son. Think about your brother. Think about your best friend. Would you want anybody that you cared about to be in a relationship with the person you're with? home and they brought this person in their arm and said, "Hey, Dad, this is Sandy," and you know Sandy is a crazy woman who's like made your life miserable, would you want anybody that you cared about to be with Sandy? You wouldn't. So you have to think about
We
that
don't
for
like
yourself.
Sandy.
You need to go to
What
HE
about
double
Susan,
hockey
Jen?
sticks.
What about Susan?
What about Susan? We love Susan. But same thing with a girl. I always say to a girl, you know, this guy that you're with, would you want him dating your daughter? If your daughter brought home a guy like this, if your mom or your best friend or your sister brought home a guy like this, would you want them to be with this guy? Would you want them to, would you be happy for them, or would you be like, holy
Right.
cow, I need to get this guy away from you? And if you wouldn't be happy for them, then there's your answer.
Yeah.
And sometimes the answer that we know in our heart is not the answer we wish we had. So
a lot of the times,
it's a lot of the times, and that's hard. It's a hard place to be in. But that's the difference between being a grown-up and being a kid. Right. Is being able to say, yes, this is the truth. I don't like it, but it's best for me. You know what I mean? Eat your green beans, and you know that you're going to be happier.
Well, think about it this way too. It's always better. Like sometimes waiting and taking care of you and making sure you're okay and in a better place, that the next person's going to be, and it's the hope anyways, if you're taking care of yourself properly, is going to be better. Like say you're drinking, like what do you call it, sparkling cider, but you can have champagne if you wait. Wouldn't you want the champagne? You know what I mean? Like that's the way you need to look at it. Like that's so more exciting. Someone said
people get so used to having crap, they don't realize there's something better out there. Like they get so used to crap, they don't realize that like just down the street is a gourmet restaurant with the best thing ever. But you're so fixated on McDonald's chicken McNuggets, thinking that that's the best thing there ever could be. You don't realize what wonderful, amazing things are there for you because somewhere deep down inside, you don't think you deserve them. But another thing is, if the thing about imagining this person dating your mom or whatever isn't good for you, then imagine you're watching a movie about your life. And if you're watching a movie about your life, are you going to root for you and this guy to be together? Are you going to root? Are you going to be like, oh my God, totally, like they're the best couple ever? Or are you going to be like, oh my God, like this is ridiculous. Why are you with this person?
If you would scream at yourself at the screen, if you were like, exactly. Girl, don't do it. What are you doing? He's a cheater. He's a liar. Exactly. If that's you and yourself,
don't go outside.
Yeah, run. It's like, watching a horror movie, because that's what it is. Like you could be watching a romantic comedy, or is your romance a horror movie? And if it's a horror movie, get out now. I don't care what he says or what she says to you. If you feel, from the outside looking in, this is a crap show. What the hell am I doing here?
Exactly.
Then it's a crap show, honey. Just get over it. Yeah. Figure out a way to get over it. And it's not going to be easy. None of the stuff we're saying is like, tomorrow you're going to wake up and be like, I'm going to do what they said. It's going to be so great. No, you're going to cry. You're going to get mad. You're going to doubt yourself. Those are emotions we all go through, but love yourself enough to do it.
This is a step on the journey. This is inspiration for you guys. And another thing that I wanted to say to you guys, and I just lost my train of thought. It was something about something. And
bring it back.
I don't remember what it was.
Well, the last thing you talked about was pros and cons.
No.
The last thing you talked about was pros and cons.
Brain fart. Okay.
No,
I was going to say to you. Yeah, I was going to say to you that something about finding a better person. I don't remember. Say something.
Well, we were talking. Oh, that's what I said last time. I said basically, when you said it too. If you've been eating hamburger all your life and then someone gives you a filet mignon and you're like, oh my goodness, what is that? I could have that. And if only you would change your mindset, you could have filet mignon all your life. Wouldn't you do it? Same thing with the.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I remember now.
Yes.
What I was going to say to you is a lot of people get caught up in the trap that if the person they're with, their ex, dumps them for another person or cheats on them, they feel like it's about them. And it's not about them.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of times it is not. I mean, I'm not saying that it never is, but 99% of the time it's not about them.
Right.
Like, people will say like, oh, I'm a really good looking woman. Why did he leave me? Or I'm a really good looking guy. Why did she leave me? But the most beautiful people in the world get cheated on. It's not about looks. It's not about like your intelligence, your looks, your personality. Right. If somebody wants to cheat on you, it's because they're unhappy either with themselves
Right.
or they're unhappy in the relationship, but it's not because you're not a good person. It's just there's not something that's gelling. And there's
Right.
so many reasons why people cheat. There's so many reasons why people ghost. There's so many reasons. Like we could talk for hours about the different
Right.
reasons why people run away. But it's not necessarily to say that something's wrong with you, you're broken, you're
Right.
defective. If somebody does not want to be with you, if they don't choose to be with you in a relationship, if you guys
Right.
date and they choose that they don't want to go forward, it's not because
Right.
there's anything wrong with you. It's because you're just not the right person
Right.
for them. I am quirky as fuck, and not anybody can handle this. Not every man can get with this.
Yeah, nothing. That's true. You got to be a strong person.
You got to be a strong person,
Yeah.
and you got to be willing to handle.
Well, you got to be confident. I shouldn't say strong. I should say confident. Yeah. You have to be very confident.
And you got to be goofy. And
yes.
So I'm not going to be ideal for every guy, and every guy's not going to be ideal for me. And you got to remember that in relationships, we're kind of just getting to know each other and trying each other out. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. And if you look at breaking up with somebody as the loss, and it is a loss, you're grieving what could have been. When you're upset about a breakup, when you're sitting there holding your teddy bear and crying and listening to All Alone on a Sunday Morning, whatever song.
Oh my gosh, I haven't heard that song in forever.
I know. Whenever you're listening to that, and you're crying the tears and you're just sad and you're eating ice cream, it's not really because you're upset about like losing Frankie. It's because you're upset about losing what you thought you had with Frankie and what could have been with Frankie. And
rejection sucks too. Let's think about it for a second. No matter who you are, if you're in a relationship, whether it's 6 months, 3 weeks, or 2 years, or 10 years, and someone decides that they don't want to be with you, it hurts to be rejected. So that you're going through that emotion too, not just the loss of that person, but just the loss of, like you said, balls. It really does.
What is this rejection word? I've never experienced rejection in my life.
I don't really know what that is either, unfortunately. I'm just kidding. But no, seriously.
No, but it's true. Rejection does suck, and sometimes that does hurt. But I think that rejection is like the initial feeling, and then the other feeling comes. Like everything comes in layers. Grief. There's several stages of grief, and whether you're grieving from the loss of a person or the loss of a relationship or the loss of a job, there's stages. And so you're going to go through a lot of different stages. And initially, it's going to be that feeling of, oh my God, why wasn't I good enough? And you're going to deal with that rejection. And then you're going to deal with, oh, I thought we were going to get married, and I thought this was going to be this, and I my whole life, and I was going to move to Michigan so that we could build that, a restaurant together and blah, blah, blah. And I had this whole plan, and now that's over, and I don't know what to do with my life now. And so it's the loss of what you feel like you could have had. But the more you kind of embrace the change, and nobody likes to embrace change.
Not at all.
Nobody likes to embrace change. The more you can learn to embrace the change and know that this path is happening for a reason, and it's for something better for you. And I know that sounds very like hokey and grandma-ish, but the truth is, you're not in a relationship with somebody and it didn't work out, there's for a reason, no matter what the reason is, whether his mom got in the middle of you guys, or whether, he broke up with you for somebody else, or, you got in a big fight, or whatever the case may be. You guys aren't together. You're not together for a reason. There's a reason. You weren't meant to be together. And so you have to be willing to just believe and trust in that, and just go with the flow of life, and embrace it, and embrace yourself, and embrace the change, and just use this as an opportunity to grow. As it's not an easy process, and like Erica said, everything that we're talking about is really good quality information, not to toot our own horns, but at the same time, it's a lot to absorb, and it takes time to absorb. And so just let this all digest. Watch this over and over again.
Let me give an example too. Like, I have a story. It's a true story. Can't say any names, but it's somebody that I know, and I still know to this day. Gorgeous. I'm talking gorgeous woman. Okay. And her first marriage was with a guy who he wanted to be a rapper. Like, that was his dream, and she supported him. He helped him with studio time, did all that good stuff for him. And then he ends up being like the worst person ever. All right. She married this guy. She thought, oh my gosh, my life is over. She was younger at the time too. She thought this was it. This was going to be the guy she was going to stay with forever. She tried so hard to keep it together, but she was miserable the whole time. Well, she finally got divorced from this guy, and now she's married to this guy who is so stable, so good to her, that their marriage will make you sick to your stomach how cute it is. I mean, it's just so beautiful. I mean, really. And she deserved all of it. And it's a guy that she never thought she would even take seriously because they were actually friends first. They were just friends. And she never thought of him as somebody she'd be with. And now she can't imagine her life without him. And I mean, and this is years later after the first guy, you know, and she was alone in between all that. I'm sure she dated, whatever, but nothing serious. But this guy is like her Prince Charming now. And it's amazing to me, like, if you open up and not put yourself in a box of what you imagine everything's supposed to be, but actually just love yourself and be as stable as you can be, what you could welcome into your life and what it could be. And this, she's so happy, and I'm so happy for her, you know. But there's an example of what happens to everybody. It can happen to anyone.
Oh, definitely.
You know, I mean,
you're right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys, thank you guys so much for being part of this show. I'm gonna end things on here, and you can, you know, obviously you can watch this later on. It's going to be on here forever. But I'm going to go over to my YouTube channel. I'm not YouTube channel. I'm going to go over to my Facebook, and I'm going to do a live Q&A over there. So if you guys have questions that you want to ask me or Erica, or if you want to ask psychic advice of me, definitely follow us on over there, and we're going to be doing a little after party over there. So I'm going to disconnect from this, and I will see you guys in about 2 or 3 minutes on my Facebook page. The link is below, so you can just click the link and join me over there. Make sure you like my Facebook so that you can be kept up to date on any of my comings and goings and events and stuff. You don't want to miss out on this masterpiece. So
yeah, definitely not.
In a few minutes. Me and Erica.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Moran.